I had a carbuncle on my asshole.
What?
I swear to God, I've had two in my life. As a matter of fact, one Ray convinced me was a hemorrhoid, and I spent $9 on Preparation H and was. Look, I didn't. I've had my own. I've been down Hershey Highway and gotten lost before.
Oh,
I wish I could get that as a drop.
You took a wrong turn.
We've all hit that cul-de-sac.
Oh, my God.
We've hit the dead end of Hershey Highway.
The Hershey ditch.
It happened once, I think, when I was 19, and then once again, actually, just a couple of weeks after I met Jimmy Kimmel, I had what is defined as a carbuncle on my ass, but I don't mean on the fleshy part of my ass.
Yeah,
I
on
mean,
the rectum.
I mean, it almost did. I mean, on the business part of my asshole. Like, if it had been, if it had been a centimeter to the right, it would have been in the hole itself and just floating, and I could have farted it away. But it was all
1 centimeter out.
Right, I would have been dead nuts center. But
I avoided poop talk for almost 3 years.
Yeah, I had.
That's why we're here, Teresa, not in the studio.
Ray convinced me I had a hemorrhoid. I've never had a hemorrhoid in my life. It was this, essentially the world's biggest zit.
What dare I ask?
Like a pustule or a cyst.
Hemorrhoid. Is there a
Look
difference?
up carbuncle.
No, I will not do that.
It's one of those.
Donnie, come on, Google it.
You're not the boss of me.
It's sort of like gardening clogs. It's one of those. It sounds like what it is.
Yes, onomatopoetic.
Yes, it is. It is. So Ray, it was the most painful because when I would walk, my cheeks would swipe each other. You have no idea.
No.
And by the way, until your asshole hurts, you have no idea.
You take for granted how good your asshole feels.
It is the fucking
normally
hub of your universe. Your asshole is your hub. It really is. And you don't realize until the hub loses the grease or gets a bad spoke or gets a little dust in the bearings. You have no idea this is your life source.
No, and by the way, if you're sitting somewhere right now and your asshole feels fine, you should take a moment and just appreciate
Thank your anus. Thank your anus. Hold on. It's quiet. Okay, that's for your anus.
Right.
Because your anus
does
is
a lot for
literally your center. I mean, it is your core. They talk about, core training and Pilates and all that stuff. Your anus is your center. It's your sweet spot. I mean, it physically really is. If you measured from the crown of your head to your anus and then from your anus to your heels, it probably would be, and right to left and up and down and diagonally. It's literally your center.
Your physical and spiritual core.
Yes, and when your core is fucked up, you will walk.
It throws everything off.
Pull to the right and walk in a circle.
Yeah.
And
why is Adam doing laps in the front room?
My carbuncle
He's chasing his tail.
He's burning a hole in the carpet.
My carbuncle was so jacked up that I actually had to call in sick to work.
Wow.
Now, I worked as a boxing instructor, so I needed my anus.
Of course.
I had the mouthpiece and the headgear and the whole anus stuff.
Sure.
But
Very revolutionary defense.
I was, and so Ray, Dr. Ray, calling Dr. Oldhofer, for the love of Christ. He'd convinced me. I had no doctor. Just
imagining his bedside manner.
I had no insurance. There was no doctor I could see, and if there was, I probably would have been too embarrassed
I'm
to
just
see them
picturing
anyway.
a needle and sterilizing it by sticking it in a lighter.
Holding it over a candle, but yes. So I did the Preparation H thing for like 3 days.
That's not going to work on a carbuncle.
Just made it worse, and it kept growing, and it kept getting worse. And I had to do a thing, and thank God you didn't drink tonight, T, because you would vomit right into your lap.
Hold on.
I was living in a house in La Crescenta with a couple of roommates. One of them, Ralph from K-Rock right now.
Yeah, Ralph
And now here's the problem with your anus. You can't unscrew it and put it in a bench vise and work on it.
No, you can't.
There's no...
That sounds like a challenge.
You can't get to it. I mean, I've had problems with appendages, and you can get to those.
Yeah. Absolutely. In fact, if you have a girly part, you can even sort of get to that. If you need to see it, you can get like a light and a compact, and you can see it. You can't see the back.
Cannot find the anus with a seeing eye, with a trained dog. Could not find my anus. So I had
to. What dog would that be, by the way?
You'd better off sniffing out dynamite at the airport than getting that detail as a schnauzer. I had the mirrored sliding closet doors with the bad 70s oak around
Typical
it.
of
in
La
my
Crescenta.
crappy La Crescenta freezing house where I had the smallest bedroom in the house. And I had to drop my pants, get totally naked, put both feet up against the mirror thing, take a flashlight, bounce it off of the mirror and into my anus so I could see from the reflection in the mirror what was going on. A lot of people hypothesize that this is how the Egyptians got light down to the center of the pyramid.
Oh, right.
A series of mirrors.
Yeah.
If you think about it, that's how I got the light to my anus. So I was lying there, holding, and by the way, if my mom or dad had walked in during this, it'd be like, what happened?
This is the scene of sitcom when the roommate walks in.
He's trying to suck his cock, and he's using a flashlight.
I wish I was. I wish it was that innocent.
If only.
To watch himself suck his own dick in the mirror with the aid of a flash. I think he's putting a flashlight up his ass while he's sucking his own cock against the mirror. Like, they would have no fucking idea what was going on. I had my feet up, like I was in stirrups, up against the mirror. I was bouncing the light off of the mirror onto the anus, and I thought, this is it. And now I had to lance it. I had to lance it with a pin.
Because you could tell from the light that hit it that it was definitely needed lancing.
I had given it enough preparation H days to realize that Dr. Ray may have been off on this one. And that it was, in fact, a carbuncle.
You had a very shiny carbuncle.
Which I'd received 10 years earlier when I was at 19 years of age, or maybe 11. So it sort of felt familiar. And it was brutally painful. And I basically hit it with a pin. And by the way, it's tough with the pin. Anyone who's ever driven a trailer and tried to back out of a driveway, that using the mirrors, that's kind of feeling like right is left and left is right. You're backing up. You have to turn. Everything is backwards and
you need
upside
light,
down.
and that's a very dark place.
Holding the flashlight, spreading the cheeks.
Oh, and plus the sack hangs over the area you want to get into.
Thrown over the shoulder like a continental soldier. Absolutely.
Like Santa Claus making his rounds.
Right. Toss that thing. I dressed to the right, by the way.
Sure.
I tossed it right over my right shoulder. That was out of harm's way. Now I'm laying down. I'm bouncing the light off the mirror onto the back of my anus, and I'm trying to go at it with this pin, hand shaking.
Our hero.
Yeah, hand shaking, trying not to stab myself in the ball sack, essentially. I hit this thing, and it went off like Mount St. Helens.
Oh, no.
And, I mean, it looked like what I imagined the worst gay porn ever would look like.
Wow.
I mean, it just kept going.
Well, the best. I mean, depending on your point of view.
Yeah, I mean, it was brutal. But when I was done, I popped up. And, like when you have a flu, you're vomiting, you're down for a few days, and there's that very slow climb back to normal.
Yeah.
Like, it's been 12 hours, and I got some Gatorade in me, and I'm starting to feel better. I'm not going to play any pickup hoops.
I'm going to try to walk the mailbox.
This was, right, I'm going to try to walk the mailbox. This was, I popped up, I made a fist, and from Tommy, from the musical Tommy, I'm Free, started playing.
Don't you wish you could play that now?
Running down the street, jumping up and down.
There was no gradual ascension.
A trail of pus behind you?
Like Stallone in Rocky into a full sprint, people I went from 0 to 1,000,000. Like, I was like, I cannot walk without dragging my right leg till I'm up on my feet. I'm high-fiving anything. Cabinet doors, I'm high-fiving. Anything that moves in the house, I'm high-fiving. It's the greatest day of my life. It immediately went. All the poison drained out of me. And I remember meeting Kimmel at El Torito for lunch.
Oh, so you were in radio at that point.
I just broke into radio and just barely met Jimmy.
Had you known him long enough to share with him the story of the carbuncle?
I talked, literally, I talked my ass off. Jimmy loves ass.
Over a little mole.
Hoff's hammer. Went for the Grande Gringo special with all three, the burrito and the chimichanga and the whole thing. Ate at El Torito, had like a 2-for-1 coupon.